All right, so over the weekend, you're going to be doing a quiz on 2.1. So this is your practice for that, right? So I did the warm-up as a practice assignment, as a practice quiz, which is this one that's 9.21 practice quiz. Over the weekend, you'll see, or well, actually, you should see it now. You just can't access it until 2:30. So once 2:30 hits, then you can gain access into that quiz. And that's the one that's 9.29 quiz 1, 2.1 quiz. That's the one that you're doing over the weekend. Okay, so we're going to go over the practice quiz because that is the actual warm-up. So when you click on the quiz and then you click to start, so I'm going to preview it, you'll get start. Okay, it is timed, so the one over the weekend, I mean, I couldn't adjust it if I need to, but right now it's 30 minutes. You'll get all 4 questions at once. So you see 3 at once here. Your questions are going to be different from your friends for obvious reasons, okay? Which means, A, don't freak out if you have a conversation with them and they're like got something totally different. That's intentional, okay? If you want, so the couple of issues that popped up here today is if you're exporting your video from Educreations, it takes time. So my advice is take a picture of all of the questions, maybe on your phone, on a device that would not be a brick when you're exporting. And then that way you can work through those questions, God bless you, on a piece of paper while your video is exporting on your iPad, okay? If you use Doceri, it's a lot faster, I'll be honest, the export. So it's totally up to you which one you use. Okay, but so this one, it says screenshot the question, open it in a screen recording app, insert the picture of the question, and then record yourself working the problem out. Save the problem to your camera roll, and then use the file upload to submit to this question. So I'm going to screenshot my question. I would then take it into Doceri or Educreations. I'm going to actually do it right here in Explain Everything. I just want to see the problem, so you don't have to give me the full thing. Like in Explain Everything, you can actually crop it, okay? If not, you can just zoom it out, stick it in the corner so that you can see it, and then I know which problem you're doing. So this one says graph the function. So I'm going to start with left hand and right hand behavior. So because it's a positive 2x to the third as my highest exponent, tells me that it falls left and rises right. Everybody's good on that, right? Yes? Okay, then what's the next thing I would do? Find the zeros. So I'm going to set this equal to 0. 0 equals 2x to the third minus 4x squared minus 16. So if I'm working, and again, it's not this problem because it's based on 2.1, which is complete the squares, the video one. So if I am working this out in the video, I'm going to talk you through it. I'm going to say, first I group the first 2 terms together. If there's something in front of the x, I have to take it out, so I took out the whatever, and then blah, 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 blah. So for this one, I would take out the x, and I would get, actually I can take out a 2x. And I would get x to the second minus 2x minus 8. And then I'm looking for the factors of negative 8 that sum to negative 2, negative 4, positive 2. And then I set each of these equal to 0. This is 0, this is 4, and this is negative 2. And each of these have a multiplicity of 1. So I'm not even going to put it there because if it's not there, it implies 1. With me so far? Okay, now Y-intercept. So I would plug 0 in for x. Y equals 2 times 0 to the third minus 4 times 0 to the second minus 16 times 0, and I get 0. So these are x-intercepts or zeros, and this is my y-intercept. Okay, then I'm going to start to graph. So I have a point at 0, a point at 4, and a point at negative 2. I know my end behavior falls left, rises right. I know it it crosses through each time. So it's going to cross through here. It has to come back, cross through here, come back, and cross through here. And then to find out what happens in between those points, I'm going to plot additional points. So I can plug in a negative 1. So 2 times negative 1 to the third minus 4, negative 1 squared minus 16, negative 1. And I get 2 times negative 1 minus 4 times 1 plus 16, negative 2 minus 4, God bless you, plus 16, negative 6 plus 16, which is 10. So this actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 should go all the way up here. And then it's not symmetric, so I also have to plug in a point from the other area too. So let's say I pick 2, 2 times 2 cubed minus 4 times 2 squared minus 16 times 2, 2 times 8 minus 4 times 4 minus 32, 16 minus 16 minus 32. These cancel out and I get negative 32, which means this point's like way down here. And then I would erase my estimate from the beginning, okay, or highlight something, my final curve. Oops, the daisy. All right, so let me go. All right, so number 2 just says to use this to find your end behavior or your left and right hand behavior. So the highest exponent is 3, which is odd. The number on the front of that is positive, which means falls left, rises right, okay? Questions on that one? Should be easy. Okay, good. And then the last one says find the zeros of this. Okay, don't make it harder than it is. Normally, if it said find the zeros, the first thing you do is factor, right? We'd set it equal to 0, and then we'd factor it. This is already factored for you. So this means technically there would be an x minus 1 and an x minus 1, and then an x plus 3, an x plus 3, and an x plus 3. When I solve those or set them equal to 0, I get a 1, a negative 3, a negative 3, and a negative 3. So my zeros would be negative 3 and 1, and the multiplicity on the negative 3 is 3. The multiplicity on on the 1 is 2, which tells me it would cross through the graph at negative 3 but bounce off at positive 1. All right, so again, I posted this is non-graded because it has this, like this one's blank, but then I posted the solutions for you so that you can review over that weekend before you take your quiz. So the whole first page is 2.1. That's what this is. Okay, so this is going to be a good review before you take your Canvas quiz. Your Canvas quiz is just covering 2.1. Okay, the Canvas quiz question that is the video is your complete the square. So it's like 1 and 2. Okay, where you're going to screenshot the question, you're going to pull it in, you're going to work it out, you're going to explain how to complete the square and get to your standard form answer. Okay. And then you're going to get questions based on a graph, like what's the vertex or the max and the min. You want to be able to do that stuff. And then on page 2, right, because, yeah, it didn't. All right, so I'm completing the square. So if this is my video quiz, I have screenshot the problem. I've brought it into whatever video recording app or whatever I'm using, and I would be able to see the question on the top, and then I would work to get it into standard form. So to put this into standard form, the first thing I do is group together the first 2 terms. And then if there's something in front of the x squared other than a positive 1, I take it out. So in this case, I'm taking out a negative 3. That's x squared. And the 12 also gets divided by the negative 3, which means this becomes a negative 4. I leave the space for what's going to get filled in. Then I have to figure out what's going here. So I take that b, which is negative 4. I ignore the sign because the sign won't matter once I square it. I divide it by 2, so 4 divided by 2 is 2, and then I square it and I get 4. That's what I add inside the parentheses, and I subtract from outside the parentheses. Now you're not going to get pretty whole numbers, I'm warning you now, okay? So be careful. You have a calculator. You have tools. I don't care how you use them, all right? But there's a reason I didn't make it as easy, because sometimes you're going to get fractions. You got to learn how to deal with them. So before I combine that negative 4 with the 1, normally I just subtract the 1 minus the 4. But if I've taken something outside the parentheses, in this case I did, which is negative 3, I have to multiply it by the negative 4 first before I combine it with that 1. So negative 3 times negative 4 means I'm actually going to add 12 to the 1. So I have negative 3x squared minus 4x plus 4. And then 1 plus 12 is 13. And then the last thing I have to do is factor the perfect square I just made. So x squared equals negative 3, square root the first term, which would be x, square root the last term, which is 2, take the sign from the middle, which is negative, put it in the parentheses, God bless you, square it, and don't forget the plus 13. And then that's all I got to do. I just got to get it in a standard form. Questions? Yep.
So whatever.
On page 2, the other part that's 2.1 is if you are given the vertex and the point, how to find the equation. So remember that this is my h and this is my k, this is my x, this is my y, and I plug it in to the standard quadratic equation, solve for the a, and then take the a, the h, the k, and plug it back in.